Welcome back to another episode of Magnet Ball. We're jumping into college basketball today. We're gonna talk about a couple topics. We're gonna jump into my top 10 after a lot of mix-ups in the top 25. A lot of teams like BYU going down, Gonzaga moving up, and then we'll talk about some week 3 matchups before these top teams get into some tournament play before the holidays. So we're gonna start with Jaden. I'm going to ask you to choose a Power 4 conference that you think will be dominant or bust in the tournament.
Yeah, it's always tough. I feel like each year is a little bit different. Um, thoroughly wasn't thoroughly impressed last year with the SEC. I think they'll be very strong again, but that's not my top conference for this year. Um, this year, honestly, I really like the Big 12 and how they've looked, especially early on. But you've got Houston, BYU, Baylor, Kansas State's balling. This will be a very competitive conference this year. Obviously, you can't, dismiss Kansas just because of their traditional basketball, but my concern always for this conference specifically is when they get into tournament play. Um, but if we're just talking regular season, I think this is probably the most competitive conference this year. I'm going to go with the Big 12.
Oh yeah, I was also going to go with the Big 12, but I think another conference that I think is going to be really good this year is the SEC. Kentucky, Alabama, just to name a few. Just a really good conference, top to bottom. Also Florida, even though they did lose or just won it coming off a national championship. Like that conference just seems like to all as a recent history from like 1 to 9 or 1 to 10 are legit tournament teams. Also, too, Arkansas is at the bottom of the top 25, still a very good team. Mississippi State's going to be good. Vanderbilt's going to be good. This conference from top to bottom has a anybody could beat anybody, even any given week. I'll go with you at the SEC.
I I honestly like the Big Ten this year. I feel like we're all picking a different conference, but why I choose the Big Ten is I feel like everyone's just gonna beat up on one another. I feel like Houston and this other team, the Big 12, BYU, Texas Tech, maybe they'll stand out a bit in the Big 12. But I think obviously after Purdue, like Michigan's not the second best team in this conference. I don't think. I think Michigan State's gonna make a push. UCLA can do that. Wisconsin, potentially UW, Ohio State. You never know. I think there's a lot of teams that are just gonna start, having these toss-up games where it can get messy in the Big Ten. So, that being said, I think they'll be able to get a lot of preparation in big moments for the tournament, and you never know what could happen in March. So I rock with the Big Ten on this one. All right, moving on. Uh, Jaden, which team looks the best overall to you right now after week 2?
Yeah, this is tough. Um, 'Cause honestly, I have a bit of a favorite when it comes to UConn, but I'm actually not going to go with them at this particular point. Um, I think all around, we kind of have to give our credit to Arizona. I think this team all around looks really good. Um, Now, do I think down the stretch that will continue? No. In the least first 2 weeks of the season, you've got their freshmen playing really good. Um, Lloyd's been coaching fairly well to start the season, and we also can't ignore what the backcourt has been doing, um, especially in that close game with UCLA. I really liked how they finished that game out. So I'm gonna give my tip my hat to Arizona. Um, to start the first 2 weeks of the season as being my best all around team so far.
I'm just gonna say before Makai goes real quick, Jaden Bradley for Arizona has been hooping, and it's down the stretch where he's just waving people off and just going and getting his. And he was not named a top 20 point guard. coming into this season. Just complete disrespect, and he's taking it personally. But Kyle, I'll let you go ahead.
Well, Jane won't say it, but I will. It's UConn. I really do like what I've been seeing from this team. Um, they've looked really good. To play against that BYU team, who I have a lot of respect for, especially the freshman AJ Debanza can really hoop. The depth they have as a roster, and I mean for the first 45 minutes of that game, or not 45, yeah, well not 45, but like the first 35 minutes of that game, it was clear like one team was just better than the other. It was very, very clear, and it was a very impressive outing from that UConn team. The shooting is all on display. The defense is all on display. I really do like from this team. I think they have a very good chance of going 3-4, which we haven't seen in a very, very long time. I mean, we're talking about players like Caravan. They don't know anything outside of 1 year other than a national championship, which just sounds crazy in this era of college basketball. But this team looks really good. They have young talented players, and they also do have the depth to really do this again. So yeah, that's the team I went with.
Only reason I didn't choose them, Makai, was just early on the lack of depth I'm seeing from UConn. That's it. But other than that, I agree.
Yeah, I'm taking Gonzaga. Obviously they're not ranked top 10 right now. What team has looked the best? It's Gonzaga. Okay, they beat Oklahoma and Creighton by an average of 30 points each. They just beat obviously Southern Utah, terrible team. They beat by 72 points. Okay, they went to Arizona State, another Hurley coach team that is tough to beat at home, and they dominated Arizona State. I just I love the depth of this team. I love the front court of this team with Huff and Ek. And then their guards are playing really, really good basketball. And then they have a top five coach in college basketball. Obviously, conference wise, their schedule doesn't give them a lot on the resume, but they're playing Alabama next week, and I think they're just going to destroy them too. Like, I really like how this team is looking as a collective. They're deep and they're well coached, and we never know what could happen. So, this eye test, I love what I'm seeing from Gonzaga right now. Y'all were shaking your head. Say something, Kai.
If they go out there and destroy Alabama, I'll agree. But right now, no. I just I don't know how good Oklahoma is. Yeah, it's a blowout against a Power Five team. I mean, Oklahoma, okay, they're okay. I think they were very reliant on what Fears was able to produce offensively, especially last year, and to lose that, it's a big yikes. Creighton, I mean, they lost a lot of players from last year, so they're really just trying to figure that out with some of their young guys. So that's why yeah, they're big wins, but those two teams are still trying to figure it out. Especially when they lose they lost a lot of talent from their past class. So Alabama's a big tester. I don't think they beat Alabama, but that's just my opinion. Um, but that will definitely be a big tell-off for what this team is actually currently. So
It's fair. We'll see. Shall see indeed. All right, moving on. Last question before we jump into top 10 rankings. Cinderella Sleeper, which on conference Power 14 will make a big push this year. Jay, let's hear it.
Um, I think for me, outside of the you said outside of the Power Four, um, this might be a hot take, but I'm gonna go with Georgetown. Um, I'm gonna choose Georgetown here. I think back in the day when they had, I believe it was Coach Cooley. Um, this was a very good team, but that was a while ago. I think they're bringing it back around this year, and they've looked good early on so far this season. But I think I'm not saying they're going to make the Elite Eight or anything like that, but I think they get out of the first round in a shocking upset against whoever, against a higher seed, and they make it to the round of 32. That's kind of my prediction thus far, if they so happen to make the tournament.
So a non-power four team. I was thinking non-power four like outside of the Big Ten. I mean Big East, excuse me, because I still consider them as a power conference. This one is right from left field. Um, but I've seen this team play, and they're in my home city, or the city I'm currently in. I'll go with Towson, man. This team is actually really good. Like if you actually watch this team, especially against Houston, they looked really really solid. I mean, they were in a 5 point game up until the 8 minute mark against Houston. Even what's his name? Simpson talked about that Williamson kid can ball, and yes, that Williamson kid can ball. Dylan Williamson can really really play the point guard position. They also have a lot of other guys on this team. Tajada is really good. Can really score the basketball. Can really shoot the pill too from three. Kind of like their Swiss Army knife. Not saying this team is going to be anything crazy or whatnot, but wouldn't be surprised they're in the tournament and but they give someone a scare. I'm not saying they win, but would not be surprised they get in and they play one of these higher seeds and you look up and it's a 3 4 point game in the last 4 or 5 minutes. So definitely watch out for this team.
Yeah, mine's not really a shocker. I'm gonna roll with San Diego State. I love their coach. I love that they've just added to they built this team around Bird. Um, they're I think they're 8 or 9 deep rotation, and they play defense really well. They're holding obviously not great teams, but teams to under 60 points a game. And yeah, I just love what these guys bring in the tournament. They're never scared. They're never scared at the moment, and they play our seeds really tough on March. Um, so be prepared for another San Diego State run. All
Yep,
right,
and
well,
I will say another hot take, Dylan. If this team sees Florida, they're beating them in the tournament this year.
Who?
That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. San Diego State.
Uh,
I don't hate that take. I don't hate that take one bit. I think their guards and forwards might give Florida fits.
yeah, Florida guards are
Um,
looking very scary right now.
yeah, that's a fact. All right, we'll jump into my top 10. I'll start with two honorable mentions and then we'll move up from there. So, honorable mentions, I got BYU, Bama. Obviously, BYU lost to UConn. They didn't look good in the first half, but that second half, they really showed us why AJ's that top pick and collectively why they're respectfully a top 15 team. And then Bama, um, yeah, they got shooters. Obviously, they got to figure it out on the defensive end, but they still have one really good win, and I think they'll be a team to reckon with in the SEC. At 10, I kind of alluded to this earlier. I really like this Gonzaga team, and I got them at 10. Um, they beat Creighton by 33 points when Creighton was ranked, and then they beat Arizona State at Arizona State, which is a good win for them. Um, they got some big games coming up, and I think they're going to show out. And 9, I got Michigan. Shoot, I put this team even lower if I could. They lost Danny Wolf and their other center from last year, and their front court play is struggling. Obviously, a lot of people look to Cadeau, but he's playing about average. But just a collective, their starting five just doesn't look that great. At 8, I got Florida. They bounced back after that first loss. Obviously, um, they got decent bigs that have experience, but we got to see more from their guards moving forward, and we got to start seeing them develop before they get into SEC play, or things could get ugly. At 7, I got Illinois. They have that Arizona transfer. I'm blanking on his name, but um, they just got vets all over, and they play. They're not great defenders, but they play defense really hard and they rebound really well. They got a bunch of Europeans on this team that just can hoop really well and they play efficiently. At 6, I got Louisville. Not much to say. This team is super lengthy. They run well, and then they play defense at a high clip. Five, I got Duke. People may say this a bit low, but I don't think they played a really tough opponent yet. Obviously, they're freshman reliant, which I really don't like, especially come tournament time. But they have a great coach. They got a ton of talent on this team, and they're gonna be a good team that's just gonna run over the whole ACC. At seven, I mean at four, my bad. At four, we got AZ. Um, the freshman on this team is just legit. But if you watch Jaden Bradley hoop down the stretch, it's beautiful to watch. They're great on the defensive end, but down the stretch, Jaden Bradley takes over, pick and roll, and coach hasn't stuck it up yet, so I'm gonna give him his flowers. He's looked good in the first four games that Arizona has played, and obviously they got a tough schedule moving forward, so we'll see how they do. At three, I had to make some switches. Um, at three, I got Houston. They're my team, but I got to see more. I really do got to see more from their guard play, especially their senior guards from Emmanuel Sharp. And yeah, and Milo's using. I just got to see more. They're not shooting efficiently. They beat Auburn by one at Auburn, which is a good win, but I expect them to win against Auburn by at least 5 to 10 points, at least. I get it's on the road, but just what I saw from their guards, I didn't like too much, but I do like what I saw from their freshman players. I think their two freshman starters combined for 40 points, and they're each affecting the game with rebounds and assists as well. So that is a bright spot for Houston, and obviously their coach is just going to get them right throughout the season. At two, I got UConn. Um, the reason why I don't have them at one is because of this team's depth. Obviously, Dan Hurley is a coach to be reckoned with. I understand that. They have a lot of seniors on this play solo ball, can shoot the three. I know Jaden's hating. That's your team. I get it. But they beat a BYU team that I thought from the start was a bit overranked. I think they were at 7 or 6. I thought that was a bit too high for BYU to start the season, and then BYU had to travel from Utah all the way to was it played in Boston at the Celtics arena. You're asking freshmen to play in the Celtics arena in TD Garden? No, you got it. No, UConn did what they were supposed to do, and they look better than Houston, so I'll have them at two, and I think that's respectable. Number one, Purdue, Trey Kaufman rent, dude. My goodness, my goodness, what he did to Bama was just nasty. I think he had a double double, but like this man is coming off an injury with his hip, and he looked like he didn't lose a step. I don't think this is his first game he played this season. Conditioning at a peak, his floater game's real mid range. The way he slashes to the hoop, he's something to behold. I'm surprised that he didn't go to the league, honestly, last year. But him and Braden Smith are a combo. They play really well off of each other, and then Braden Smith is just he's the best point guard in the nation. I'm gonna be real honest. Uh, so I got Purdue at one. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I don't have too many complaints here. I thought, yeah, UConn. I mean, I have UConn at one, but I'm fine with Purdue at one. I think Purdue is playing really good basketball. Coming off a big win against Alabama. UConn still. I mean, they got a big win versus BYU, but thought you have. Where'd you have Arizona for? Yeah, yeah. Mm, you could argue them over Houston, but I think they have a little bit stronger wins. So probably throwing Arizona at three, and then yeah, Duke at five. They look like they're going to be a top three team, but you don't know until we see it, you know. So Duke looks really good. Um, the Boozer twins, they look crazy, and Isaiah Evans is dude like that team's got to be stopped. That's crazy. But Yeah, so yeah, I have no issues with the list. Definitely valuing more what have you done versus how dominant have you looked, which is that's great, but gotta be some good teams. So I thought that was fine.
Yeah, good list. I think kind of poke fun at it, but UConn I think is number one. I got to see Purdue play a good defense. Um, don't get me wrong, the win at Bama was very impressive in a very hostile environment against a very potent offense, but they can't play defense. Um, obviously, we'll get into a game a little bit later, but those boys at Purdue look good. To be honest with you, I think Michigan should be out of your list altogether. Um, I think BYU should be back in and replace them. Yes, BYU has a loss, but to go on the road essentially in Boston and only lose by two, um, I think something has to be said for that. Michigan looks awful. I'm gonna be honest with you. Their 7 footers, the best player on the team. He can really play, but outside of that, you play Wake Forest and TCU, and you win both of those games by about 5 points or less. It just cannot happen. So I think Michigan's out altogether. Otherwise, other than that, this is a solid list.
I don't hate that take, Jane. Like, I Michigan's just there because they're hanging on by a thread. To be honest, I'd take Gonzaga over them. I'd take BYU head to head against them, and then I'd probably take Bama to beat them as well. So I don't hate that.
I also
Kai, any
take
last
Florida.
thoughts? All right, we'll move on. We got huge games this week. College basketball's at its peak right now, and these top 25 ranked games are just going to be really fun to watch. We're going to start with right off the bat, number three, Arizona. I believe it's at UConn. Um, it's a tough road matchup for Arizona, but they've looked really good so far. Obviously, UConn has looked good as well. It's gonna be a hard fought game, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll let Jaden start since this is his team. Obviously, Arizona's my team, so but I'll let you go.
If you are not a college basketball lover yet, you need to watch this game on Wednesday. Um, these are two great rosters. It's at the Pavilion, and it's at UConn. This is going to be peak hoops. Um, I'm really looking forward to this one. Dan Hurley's going to have these boys ready. Arizona will be ready to play. They don't shy away from big moments. Really interested to see how Pete does in this game. UConn defense, especially at home, is just they just all up in your kitchen. Um, so I'm interested to see how Arizona handles that. I think there's also a really big test for Tommy. Can you coach at this level? Can you coach at this stage? We'll see. Obviously, he's won some big games in the Big 12, but a storm's coming, man. Storm is coming. I've got UConn winning this one for sure. Um, I think it'll be close first half, but UConn's going to run away. Um, I just think, I just think there's going to be straps everywhere second half. Dan Hurley's going to figure it out. So I got UConn winning this game at least by I'm going to say eight or 12 points.
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, go UConn goes out and wins impressive against Arizona. Yeah, they might three-peat, 3-4. But yeah, this team looks really good right now. I'm gonna go with UConn as well. I just think playing at UConn is just tough. Like that's just a tough place to play. If this game was at AZ, I would really like Arizona's chances. That's just a tough place to play. Far travel. I can't wait to see the matchup called Pete versus Tarius Reed. That's going to be really, really good. Very interesting to watch. But I just think UConn currently at this stage is a better team than Arizona, especially defensively and their collective and how UConn gets into their sets is just great. It's just chef's kiss basketball, man. And don't even get me started on the defense. It's locks. Like when Caravan actually slides them big old feet, and you just know it's over. You just know it's over. So yeah, I like UConn in this game. I think UConn gets it done. About the same score between 8 and 12. I think it'll be relatively close in the first half. UConn makes a run, and AZ just can't respond. So
I see this game going a bit different way. I think Arizona will be up probably 8 points at half. I think they're gonna come out swinging. I think it's gonna take Dan Hurley really talking to this team at half for them to start playing at a defensive intensity that he wants them to play. I think Arizona's offense is gonna be up for the challenge. I think Cole P and Jaden Bradley are gonna play lights out in this game. I think they're ready for the challenge. But the way Dan Hurley be working those refs all game, the way he be coaching this team, and it being at UConn, I can't ignore the fact that UConn has a significant advantage. The one way Arizona wins this game is if somehow UConn runs out of gas and Arizona's depth just tires them out. But at home, I don't see this happening. I got UConn by 1 point, and this game is going to be the game of shoot the month, maybe the game of 2025. So this is the game to tune into for sure. All right, we'll move on. We got Wisconsin at BYU. BYU obviously coming off that loss. Um, it's a bounce back game. Obviously, Wisconsin's ranked. I feel like they're ranked a little high, but um, Wisconsin has a good culture for basketball. I think this game will be good. So I'll let Jaden start.
Yeah, this game's in Salt Lake City. It's not at BYU. Doesn't really make a difference. But Wisconsin's a good team. But this early in the season, this stage of the game, I think BYU wins pretty comfortably. Um, I just think the firepower offensively is a little too much for Wisconsin to handle. However, I think Wisconsin starts out with a pretty strong first half. I think most teams have done that against BYU to start this season. I mean, shoot, even when BYU played Delaware, they were down at half. Um, so I think BYU sneaks out with a win. I say hmm, they win by about 10 points. I think it will be double digits, but it's gonna come, the last 8 minutes of the game when they when they go on a pretty big run.
yeah, I agree. I like this UConn team definitely later in the year. I just think early on, this BYU team is just going to be a bit much for them. Um, yeah, I think Debenza has a really good game. I really do. I love what I've been seeing from him. I just would love some BYU to lean more into it. What he provides offensively. I understand as a college coach you have your system, but dude, if you have kids that can ball, you just gotta let them rock to an extent. Um, but yeah, I like BYU in this matchup. I think BYU gets a huge bounce back win from their crushing loss against UConn. I think it's going to be relatively close, though. I think Wisconsin's going to hit some shots and keep this game close. So I'm going to take BYU by 4.
Yeah, I agree with you, Makai. I think this team is gonna be ready to go, especially after losing to a tough UConn team. AJ's gonna play lights out. I love how he can just get to spots, rise up, and he's just so confident in his jump shot and his finishing around the rim. Wisconsin's good. They're well coached, but I don't think they'll have enough to beat BYU. I think they're on the road as well, if I'm not mistaken. I got BYU winning this game by 4 points as well, 4 to 6, give or take. All right, next game we got 14 St. John's at 16 Iowa State. It should be another really good, close, even match game. Um, St. John's obviously has that one loss to I believe it was Bama. Um, they got to figure out their offense to win this game. But I'll let Jaden start.
Yeah, another neutral site game, and this game's in Vegas. Um, it's going to be the question about St. John's all year long is when you actually put the ball in the hoop. Um, we know 3-point shooting wise, this team really couldn't throw a water bottle in the trash can if they tried. Um, but at the end of the day, I think I think Iowa State is just it's just going to be too much. That defense, man. It's one thing we can say about St. John's, like they really lock people up. Alabama obviously was quite an exception because all they can do is play offense, or at least in the game of basketball, they can't play no defense. So that's all they got going for them. I like St. John's here. I think they squeeze out a win against Iowa State. I think Iowa State will be a really good team this year, but it's going to come maybe a little later in the season, per usual. But I got St. John's winning this one. I think they only win by about 4 points.
This is a big game for St. John's. I think huge bounce back game, especially from losing to Alabama, a game that they anticipated to win. I think games like this against Iowa State are definitely games and resume builders, especially for later on in the tournament, and especially when they'll be fighting for position and seeding. I think St. John's gets a huge win here. I wouldn't obviously it's not a must win, but it's a good win. It's be a very good resume builder early in the season. So it'd be something that committee can point to on why St. John should be maybe a three instead of a four or a two instead of a three, and I think they get a big one here. Um, I think it's I like St. John's close. I think it's going to be a really good game because this Iowa State team can really play. So I think it's a one possession game.
Yeah, I think this will be a close game. I do love St. John's defense, but I cannot stand their offense. They don't have R.J. Lewis to bail them out like he did last year. And the way that that relationship ended with R.J. Lewis and the head coach Rick Pitino, it's gonna haunt them all year. Um, I like Iowa State in this game. They're much better on offense. Lipsy is a top 10, top 15 point guard in the country. Um, they, they're they're deep. They got good forward play, front court play. And then they're really good in transition, and they play good defense as well. They had 12 steals and 5 blocks against Mississippi State. Obviously, Mississippi's an average SEC team, but they dominated that game. I just I just don't like St. John's offense. I think they'll be able to keep this game low scoring, but if if one team needs a bucket, it's gonna be Iowa State getting that done, in my opinion. So I got Iowa State winning this game by 3 to 5 points. All right, next game we're going to talk about San Diego State at number 7 Michigan. This will also be in Nevada, so neutral site, closer to San Diego. And one thing that Jay and I know about the Aztecs is they travel well, so and their fan base does too. So Jay, let's hear your thoughts.
It's another good game, and we got some games next week. Um, Should be some really good basketball. I think at the end of the day, San Diego State, as we kind of discussed previously, they'll make a really good run in the tournament this year. I think this is a really good team. They're well coached. Michigan just hasn't looked great against pretty underwhelming rosters so far. Um, Wake Forest, overtime, TCU, no disrespect, but the TCU men's team kind of looks like a glorified high school team, at least with size. Um, Hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Them boys are not that tall for Big 12 basketball. I was shocked. They're actually fairly small. Um, but for Michigan to go there and only win by, I'm just looking here, win by 4. Um, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But end of the day, I think I'm gonna have to go with San Diego State here. Um, they played some. bad opponents, I would say, so far, but I think their defense really gets after Michigan, especially in their backcourt. This team is very active on defense. They get a lot of steals. I think it's going to cause some issues. They just have to be able to stifle the big man, which I think their forwards will be able to do. But they really got to get him in foul trouble if they want this game to go their way. I got San Diego State winning in a close one, but this game will either go into overtime or San Diego State will win off a buzzer beater.
Yeah, Michigan has been very underwhelming to start the season. Can't say I'm surprised. Called it from the beginning. Um, yeah, I when it comes to these teams, especially elite teams, I really do try to look at the guard play and how good the guard play is going to be, especially in stretches like these, especially down the stretch of games. And Michigan definitely seems like it's definitely lacking that. Not just Elliott could do, but I think even the depth of the position is just not great. Um, so I like San Diego State in this game. I think they're gonna. It has to be a low scoring game. If this game gets up scoring, I think that favors Michigan. But the San Diego State team is very good defensively. They always are good defensively. They're very active. They communicate well. They have great switchability. My only concern is the big man Dillon for Michigan could be a problem. San Diego lacking that type of size, especially in the post, could cause could cause San Diego some fits, and I think that is Michigan's big way to win. Is they're gonna have to play through their big. Um, but I think they're able to get him in foul trouble, get him out early, and I think San Diego State wins this game really, really close. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. So I like San Diego by three.
Yeah, I wrote on my notes upset alert by 3 points. So we're on the same page, Makai. Um, I do worry about Michigan's bigs, like you alluded to, but San Diego State has always been known about the way they play defense. They're long. Obviously, they're not the tallest front court, but they're very active on that side of the ball. And then their head coach is really, really good. And I know he's going to have these kids ready to play, especially when it comes to tournaments. This is a tournament being played in Nevada, so I think San Diego State's going to come out and just they're going to be in transition and they're going to run this team and they're going to play good defense. And I think San Diego State, their fan base is going to travel really well to Las Vegas for this team. So yeah, I got San Diego State by 3 points. All right, so this tournament in Nevada is going to be really good. A lot of good games are going to be played out there, and so is this next one. We got 13 Gonzaga. Uh, they're playing Alabama, number 11 in the country. Um, yeah, it's going to be like front court versus guard play. It's going to be a fun matchup. Obviously, two really good coaches at the same time. So, Jaden, let's hear your thoughts.
You guys know those AAU tournaments that you travel to?
What's he about
I
to
already know
say?
what you're talking
Um,
about. That's why I'm
and you
laughing.
know those teams that they have all the uniforms and it's like Team Lillard, Team Snoop Dogg. Yeah, this is Alabama. This is a celebrity AAU team at its finest. Um, they have no defense, all flash. Everyone shoots. Um, no one has any effort on the defensive end, and that's what this team is. And at the end of the day, I think Gonzaga gives them a really good run. Um, I really like what I've seen all around from Gonzaga. I mean, what a luxury having Grant Foster coming off the bench with his length and ability to guard anyone on the floor. Yeah, this is a definite luxury for this team. But I think Gonzaga puts up a really good fight. Um, I'm actually going to go with them this year or in this game. I'm going to go with Gonzaga beating Bama in a close one. I think Gonzaga wins by three.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take Gonzaga in this game as well. I think um, this game is gonna come down to the little things. Gonzaga is very good at keep it taking care of the ball. They don't really make too many mental mistakes and cost themselves. And Alabama doesn't play little to no defense. Um, and that's gonna be a problem, especially a team that doesn't really turn the ball over very much, and you guys aren't going to cause them to turn the ball over very much. It just seems like a recipe for disaster. Tyon Grant Foster, like Jaden mentioned, very good defenders, great switchability, can really do it all. When he has a three ball going, you're just at his mercy. Not a super consistent 3-point shooter, but very streaky. Can be streaky from that area. Um, GK down low. They just have a lot of talent. Braden Smith, their starting guards, very good table setter for them. Doesn't turn the ball over. Just makes all the right plays. So I like Gonzaga in this game. Pretty somewhere between 5 and 7.
Yeah. I'll give me a quick second. I'm just trying to remember who Gonzaga played. Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Gonzaga defensively, they're gonna get Alabama off their spots. They're really well coached. I think they're gonna make Alabama take a lot of tough twos in this game and run them off the 3-point line. Mark Few, he just knows what he's doing. Uh, and then Gonzaga, like, they can score from all three levels as a collective. Graham Ek is dominant down low, and then their guard plays just they're really in sync. They get into sets almost as well as you would say UConn, and they're they're coached really well, and they play well in tournaments. I just don't see how Alabama can compete with this team, especially with fluidity, and then the way they just play offense at such an efficient clip. So I don't think this game's gonna be close. I mean, it could be because I'm from Washington. I like the Zags, but just watching Gonzaga play, it's been I've been very impressed to say the least. I got Gonzaga by 13 to 15 points in a dub. It's not gonna be close, in my opinion. Any last thoughts before we close out for the night, y'all? All right, well, it's Magnum Ball Podcast signing out. I appreciate you guys being with us for another episode. Please like and subscribe to the pod. A lot of good games this week, so tune in, and we'll be back with more content next week. See ya.
Yeah.